Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. On this glorious November the 8th, we got an awesome little show for you guys put together. I was just doing a little deep dive into some of the injury concerns. You know, we got Philadelphia coming up on Monday night. I thought, why don't we take a quick little look at the wide receiver room? Obviously, we've got some guys on the injury report that was released yesterday. We'll get another one today, so maybe we'll get a little bit better picture on people like Matthew Golden, players like that. But I just want to kind of dive in, look at the players that may not be available, look at the players who are potentially coming back, and maybe how this wide receiver room may shake out moving forward here. You know, you got a couple of guys that you're wondering, are they going to be a part of Green Bay's future? One being Tay Wicks, another being Romeo Doubs. You got Christian Watson, who's got 2 years left on his deal. Obviously, he has emerged. To me, it looks like he's as good, if not better, than he was before the ACL, which is really, really exciting. As we talked about earlier in the offseason, you know, one positive around him rehabbing that ACL, he's not going to be running as many routes, probably going to be working on the hands. And we know I feel really, really confident that Christian Watson has the best grasp of Matt LaFleur's offense. You know, he's one of the few players at the receiver position that'll kick into wing and almost be like a makeshift tight end on some of those looks. I'm not saying Romeo Doubs doesn't understand the offense. I just don't think he understands it to the level that Christian Watson does, because again, he's played wing, he's played speed Z. They put him at boundary X from time to time, and they'll also play him at the F. His rookie year, he played that F position there for Matt LaFleur. So we're going to dive into all that, just have a quick little conversation as the chat fills in. Sorry for the random stream, guys. You know how it is, man. If I get a few minutes, I'm just going to hit go live and hop in here and talk ball with everybody. Before we do, if you guys would do me a really big favor, click like, click subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your Saturday morning festivities as we're getting geared up for the Monday Night Football showdown with the Eagles. Later on, I think it's going to be tomorrow, we will be doing the game plan. We'll be unveiling that. We might get into a little bit of it tonight. I'm going to put it together today and just talk about a detailed game plan in approaching the Philadelphia Eagles game coming up. So if that's the type of content you're looking for, hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. We've got like something between 20 and 25,000 returning viewers every month. And we've got like 6,600 subs, 6,500 subs, whatever the number is. If everybody watching this video just took a quick second and hit subscribe, that would help the channel out tremendously. We know these people are returning to watch the content. They're probably like me, where I forget to hit sub on some of the top content creators that I follow as well. We got a bunch of people in the chat. Appreciate y'all swinging through. Nick McSwain in the house. We got Bates. We got Tyler Nording. Good to see you, buddy. Gravedigger in the house. Everybody sit up straight. All right. We got Chris the Casual in. Everybody following in here. Thank y'all so much for making us part of you more. Let's get into it, guys. So you can catch this article. And again, I apologize for the coughing. Tired of saying it. You guys are tired of hearing it. We're still battling whatever this was. So hopefully it'll be gone here in the next week or two. Wide receiver room. I put a little article together over at Patreon. If you guys want to join there, patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Packers wide receiver room update, mixed injury news ahead of game day. Also, the title of this video is just talking about, you know, injuries, upside, and opportunities. Let's just dive into it, man. So the Green Bay Packers wide receiver room is seeing a blend of positive and concerning developments as they prepare for their next matchup. As you guys can see, the injury report that came out yesterday, Matthew Golden was limited on Thursday with the shoulder injury. He was downgraded to did not participate on Friday. I'm eager to see what his status is today and his game status. If I had to guess, it's either going to be did not participate or limited, and I imagine his game status will be questionable. I feel really confident thinking it's going to be questionable. We'll see, though. Maybe it's doubtful. Maybe it's probable if they still have those statuses that they can list. Malik Heath was not on the injury report Thursday. However, a hip injury popped up, and he was limited on Friday. I'm eager to see if he's going to be available as well. And you also have Christian Watson, Dontavion Wicks, and Savion Williams on the injury report. Christian Watson and Wicks both limited, and Savion Williams did not participate Thursday, but he was back limited yesterday. So, you know, Wicks and Savion Williams are the ones that kind of grab my attention. We know Christian Watson's going to be good to go. He's been good to go this entire time, coming back from that knee injury. So we will see what's going on with Wicks with the calf. Will he actually play this week? And Savion Williams is the other one with the foot injury. The fact that he was limited tells me he's trending in the right direction. The one that's trending in the wrong direction, obviously, is Matthew Golden, like we talked about. Right. I think there's a decent chance we don't see him on Monday night, and that could be crucial. And listen, you've typically got two different opinions when it comes to Matthew Golden. Some fans think he's I don't want to say a bust, but man, he's been a real letdown since they've drafted him. Being the 23rd overall pick, 23rd overall pick, I believe it was. I think he's made the most out of his opportunities. When I say the most, maybe that's a little strong. Obviously, the deep balls that they've come up short on probably could have been a better ball, probably could have tracked it a little bit better, but nonetheless, they're so close to hitting on those. I think here's the way I look at Matthew Golden. If you put him in Romeo Dobbs' spot at the X, there's nothing that I've seen Romeo do that I don't think Matthew Golden can do. Okay. And that's not the dog Romeo. It is what it is, right? And listen, I would love to have Romeo Dobbs back on this team next year for the right price. I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to hit free agency. Someone's going to see him more valuable than the Packers probably, and he will probably get outbid. They will get outbid. The Packers will get outbid by, that team or two, right? But Matthew Golden in the X spot, if you put him in X and you have Christian Watson in Z, and of course, you're going to have Jaden Reed coming back, playing the F, playing the slot, the moving slot position there, or some people refer to it as moving Z. I think that is the best version of this wide receiver core. Because again, to me, Matthew Golden has showed he's got the hands that Dobbs does, right? I think he's got higher athletic ability than Dobbs does. Where he's maybe lacking is the route running ability where Romeo just is so good at finding those little holes in the defense, especially on those deep digs, whether you go an 18-yard dig or a 20-yard dig or a 25-yard dig, that 30-yard game we seen last Sunday against Carolina on a 2nd and 20 look, right? Those are the things I think Romeo maybe does a little bit better than Golden, but I think it's just a matter of time before Golden takes over for Romeo in that X position. Again, we've seen Matthew Golden play the Z. We've seen him play the F. We've seen him play X. The last 2 weeks, this has really gone under the radar. You've seen more snaps of Matthew Golden at the X position, and you had Romeo playing a little F when they wanted to try to stretch the field with Christian Watson. So, again, it's going to be interesting. But in terms of Dontavion Wicks, on the bright side, Wicks has practiced for a second consecutive day. Savion Williams has returned to practice, raising hopes that both could suit it up, right? So, Dontavion Wicks, guys, he started the season pretty strong, if you'll remember, right? Weeks 1 and 2, his PFF grade 74.8, 79.0. We were immediately talking about, okay, he's picking up where he kind of left off his rookie year. We've seen, oh man, this guy might be a dog. I mean, if you look here in 2023, 77.8 was his PFF grade. Last year it was 65.1. This year it's sitting at a 63.9. But early on, before the injuries started to pile up and the calf started bothering him, you've seen he was performing a little bit better. I'm eager to see if he's going to return and get back into that 74, 79 form here. According to PFF. That's what I'm really, really excited about. Now, again, in 2024, the problem with Wicks were the drop issues, right? His drop grade, according to PFF, 29.1. His drop grade this year, back up to a 64.7. So he seems to have fixed the drop issues. And again, man, he's 6'1". Some sites have him listed at 6'2", 206. He's a bigger body receiver with great footwork, great route running ability. So you're probably asking, well, where does Wicks fit into the offense? We talked about Matthew Golden, I think is a better X receiver than maybe a Z or a slot. With Dontavion Wicks, he's kind of the jack of all trades, master of none. The only position I think he can't play or isn't effective in is that speed Z spot, right? Think of Christian Watson stretching the field vertically. That's just not Wicks's game. Wicks works great underneath. And as you can see here, he's had a pretty decent start to the year to 63.9. That's not horrible. It's kind of on par with where he was last year, but he's fixed the drop issue. So I'm eager to see how he performs, right? And then, however, there's bad news for rookie first-round wide receiver Matthew Golden, who did not participate on Friday due to a shoulder injury after being limited on Thursday. So obviously he gets banged up in that injury or in that game, if I remember correctly. They put him out there limited Thursday. Yesterday, he did not participate. Now, when you look at how he's performed this year, he's been trending down a little bit in weeks 8 and 9, right? So Starting in week 1, here are his PFF grades. This is his rookie campaign, guys. 61, 52, 62, 63, 90.4 against Carolina, where he went off, right? He had 5 targets, 3 catches. I think he averaged 28.7 yards per reception in that game, had a 90.4 PFF grade. At Arizona, 37 yards receiving, 67.1 PFF grade. And then in week 8 at Pittsburgh and week 9 in Carolina, you've seen the dip, 52, 53. Of course, he got hurt there in the Carolina game, if I remember correctly. So with that being said, his PFF grade on the year is 66.2. So when I look at the comparison of Matthew Golden to Dontavion Wicks and go, okay, 63.9, 66.2. If you backed it up with statistics, it kind of shows a similar outcome, I guess you could say. But you're talking about 2 different receivers, like with Wicks obviously does not have the speed that Golden has. Golden does not have the size that Wicks has. Some would say Wicks runs better routes than Matthew Golden. I think it's closer than many people want to give Golden credit for. So if you're talking about these 2 players competing for the X position moving forward, the problem with that is Dontavion Wicks hasn't been a world beater. And the reality is this 3rd year of his deal, right? So you're going to want to get Matthew Golden out there on the field as often as possible and get him acclimated to the offense even more, because you got him under contract for the next 3 years. With Wicks, it's just 1 more year under contract. With Dobby, obviously, it's the final year of his deal. So that's why I kind of see Dobbs as the odd man out, unless he accepts a team-friendly deal. I'm not talking about chump change, but obviously he could get more money out on the market, if he were to just hit free agency. So that's kind of how I see that little cluster of receivers. All right. Wicks, who missed the last 2 games with a calf injury, has been limited in practice this week. He's optimistic about playing, but remains day-to-day. Before the injury, Wicks had a strong start to the season, and he enjoys being back at practice. The thing I wanted to point out here, guys, is when you talk about air yards per target, Dontavion Wicks is 3rd on the team there, right, with 13 air yards per target. So they like to hit him at that mid-level, right? So one of the knocks on Matt LaFleur's offense last week was they're either throwing screen passes or they're throwing deep. There's nothing in the middle. Well, I showed you guys on Chalk Talk where you hammered out 2 different plays in crucial situations. You get that 30-yard gain there with Romeo Dobbs on the dig. That's midline, right? So maybe the problem with and I somewhat agree with that take is what I was getting at. I agree they need to attack the middle of the field and that midline a little bit more, right? Well, maybe it's because Tay Wicks has been missing in the lineup, seeing that he's 3rd in the team in average yards or air yards per target, right? So when you look at it from that standpoint, it all kind of adds up, right? So Wicks, that's kind of been his specialty this year, is air yards per target. His yards per receptions at 10.3, not bad, right? 134 yards receiving. The other cool thing here is only 20 targets. He's got 13 receptions. So he's actually catching the football this year, 65% catch percentage there. It's wild to think, too, that Christian Watson has a 75% catch percentage right now. And you'll notice we're not talking much about Christian Watson right here because we know what we got there, in my opinion. You've got a physical freak that can stretch the field vertically. He can make contested catches. He made another one last week there in double coverage, just like he did in Pittsburgh the week before. Now, when you ask him to make it in triple coverage, that's a no-go, right? That's not many players in the league are going to be able to bring down those catches, right? So as Joseph points out here in the chat, Love really favored Wicks at the start of this season. It's almost like that same tight end effect, right, Joseph? You feel like he's got a large catch radius, and once he fixed the drop issue, you also like his yak ability. That's something that's been kind of gone unnoticed with Wicks. I think if you go back to his rookie year, his yards after catch were unbelievable, right? And he's literally running through arm tackles, that type of guy. So moving along here, Williams, talking about Savion Williams, sidelined from Thursday's practice due to a calf issue, was limited on Friday. He contributes across multiple facets, including rushing, receiving, and returns, where he's 2nd on the team in total yards. As the primary kickoff returner, he's delivered some long returns recently, all right? So the cool thing about Savion, he's had limited opportunities, but his catch percentage is 100%, guys. I mean, every ball that's been thrown to him, all 7 targets, he's caught them. Now, he's only got 43 yards. Obviously, that's 6.1 yards per catch, but that just shows you they like to use him underneath. And listen, that's what the college tape showed at TCU. This guy, he's a break tackle machine. Now, he catches the bubble screen in Pittsburgh, takes it for a touchdown. His first career touchdown, right? Everybody loved it. Last week, the bubble screen didn't work. I felt like it was a mental error on his part where he turned it into more of a smoke, or he kind of half-assed the bubble screen route. And that's what Matt LaFleur was chewing him about, because you end up turning it into a smoke route, which is essentially just a kind of slight step back, catch the ball, try to make a guy miss. On a bubble, you're looking to move horizontally outside, catch the ball on the run. And I think that's what Romeo was expecting him to do when he was trying to block on that bubble screen. Is you have, if you go outside, you got a 1-for-1 hat count, meaning Rome's got his guy, and it's literally going to be Savion Williams versus the safety. Instead, he kind of shortens that route a little bit, catches it, tries to go back inside, where now you're down 4 hats. You're in a -4 hat count, meaning they have 4 bodies approaching the football. And as opposed to if he went outside, you probably could have scampered. I don't know if you'd have scored, but you'd have definitely picked up a much more positive gain. So that's just a mental error that young players are going to have. And it kind of goes back to the conversation we've had about having the youngest player in the league, or the youngest rosters in the league, right? We've done it every single year. And then when we make mistakes, people are expecting, you're doing the same thing over and over and you're expecting a different result. And typically when you point that out, the argument then becomes, well, this is a young team with a lot of experience. And I know which podcast that started on, and I just rolled my eyes, because I'm like, you say that, yet here we have a rookie wide receiver catching a ball in a 1-score game, or actually at the time it was tied, right, 0-0 on the opening opportunity for the Packers to score, and the rookie fumbles the ball. And the people that say, well, we got a lot of experience with this young team. Okay, how much experience does that rookie receiver have, right? He's a 3rd-round pick. You expect him to play just like we expect Matthew Golden to play as well. So just something to kind of dive into there a little bit as well. Ed Madden, I disagree here, man, respectfully, of course, but I love you, Ed. I know Ed's he's always in the chat. Appreciate you, buddy. Always jumping there and voicing your opinion. Spacing was bad on the fumble. I disagree. Unless you're saying the spacing by the receiver, take that back. If you're saying the receiver did not create the proper spacing for what the play call was, I agree, right? But if you're saying the spacing was bad on the play call itself, I disagree on that, because again, you had that hat count that you were looking for. And just so everybody knows, it's easy to rake Matt LaFleur over the coals for that play call and say, oh, what's he doing throwing screens? We pointed it out on Chalk Talk before Matt LaFleur said it in his presser this week. Guys, there's a run play attached to that too. So we've come full circle to fans complaining about Aaron Rodgers always throwing the ball when we should be running it. Well, now it's Jordan Love throwing the ball when some fans think we should be running it. I can understand why Jordan Love made the decision he made. And honestly, he could have thrown a better ball on that bubble screen too, although it was catchable, of course, but you're looking to lead him outside. So maybe that played a little bit of a factor into Savion Williams trying to cut back inside. And the other mistake there, of course, was Savion holding the ball in the inside arm, right? That's just a big no-no. You got to know on a bubble screen, when you're looking for a 1-for-1 hat count, the quarterback's going to look to put it outside for you. You got to catch that ball and get it in the outside arm as quick as possible. Instead, what Savion did, he shortened the route, caught the ball, kept it on the inside arm. So that's probably why Matt LaFleur was chewing him on the sideline. He's going, listen, bud, you didn't get far enough outside. You made the wrong cut, and you had the ball in the inside arm. Could you have screwed anything else up on that play? But I guarantee you, Matt LaFleur knows the upside that Savion has. We've talked about it from time to time on this particular show. And, that's being a rookie. You're going to make rookie mistakes, It's just like we talked about with the defense going into the offseason. It's like, hey, listen, guys, what this defense did, taking the ball away, understand that's rare. You're probably going to have – I immediately try to project to the next year and go, okay, the interceptions we have with the takeaway, which contributed dramatically to the takeaways for the Packers in 2024, can't expect that. You're being unrealistic if you expect to have the same amount of takeaways because of the interceptions. Teams are not going to play you the same way, right? They didn't even play the Packers the same way in the back half of the season, right? You already seen it trending in that direction. Same thing goes for kicker. There's people that have unrealistic expectations on Brandon McManus. Last year, he kicked over 90%. I specifically remember saying on the show, I do not expect Brandon McManus to kick 90% again. I'm hoping we can be in the 85% range, right? And I haven't even looked at the numbers. I know he's not at 90 to the best of my knowledge. So again, proper expectations. It's just like the defense. The defense did so good last year. I expect to step back. And people were like, how can you say that? You went and got Micah Parsons, and everybody knows the defense 1 year, They've got 1 year full experience in the defense. That second thing you said, in my opinion, isn't a positive thing. And what I mean by that is, yes, these players have a full year's experience in the defense, but guess who else has a full year's experience in the defense? The rest of the league. They've got a full year of tape, and now Hafley's got to make a decision. Do we continue to call the same defense we did last year, or do we change it up, right? And again, I think he's done a great job. You got a top 10 defense. As we pointed out yesterday's show, red zone efficiency is where you're struggling. You've got a bottom half red zone defense right now in terms of touchdown percentages allowed when the teams get into the red zone. So that's something you got to clean up. But anyway, a little bit of a tangent there. Appreciate you, Ed. And again, I didn't get a chance to look at your follow-up comment there. I apologize, man. But again, this is just how the league works, man. Like it's constantly changing. And Matt LaFleur is constantly pointing out, and he's so right. He's 110% correct when he's saying it's a copycat league. You've got teams that are watching your tape going, oh, I like that. I'm taking that from them. But why are they even watching the tape to get that tip? They're not watching the tape to get a tip from hey, let's take that. Let's utilize that. That's not the point. They're watching the tape to learn how to stop you. And there's even been, I've heard coaches, not one-on-one, but other coaches talk about these head coaches for teams in the NFL. They're not only watching the Packers tape, like Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, they're watching a 4-game saturation plus the last 2 head-to-head, including Brazil and the playoff game last year. That's what they're formulating their game plan around. But also, they're probably pulling clips from Sean McVay's offense because they know the Packers run a similar offense there. And they know Matt LaFleur is watching McVay. He's watching Shanahan. He's even watching people that don't run his scheme and going, oh, I like that concept. Let's take it. You guys remember the double pump fake Y leak that we ran? What was it, 2 years ago? I think it was Jordan Love's first year. Remember, he hits Musgrave. I think it was Musgrave down the seam, if I remember correctly. It might have been Tucker Kraft. But remember, Jordan takes the snap, fakes a pump left, turns right, fakes a pump there, and then the Y leaked out down the seam and they hit him. He got that from Sean McVay. Or no, it was from Shanahan. And then the same week that LaFleur ran it, McVay stole it from Shanahan, just like LaFleur stole it. So again, this is how the league works. And it's these teams and these coaching staffs, and more specifically these players, that are able to adjust on the fly that's going to make the big difference, man. Those are the teams that are going to be in it at the end for sure. So again, just want to point out Savion Williams, his hands look good. And that was a problem coming out of college. We were like, man, this guy's a physical freak. He's a yak god. He can return kicks, all these things, but he's got a hands issue. It's like he's making contested catches like he's Randy freaking Moss at TCU, right? And then when he's wide open, he's dropping passes. So you got to create some consistency. I love the fact that his catch rate is 100% of Savion Williams. And just to add to that, guys, the players with the best catch percentage on our team right now, John Fitzpatrick, only 5 targets, but 5 catches, 100%. Malik Heath, only 6 targets, but 6 catches, 100%. Savion Williams, only 7 targets, but 7 catches, 100%. How about Luke Musgrave, guys? 90% catch rate, 10 targets, 9 catches. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Josh Jacobs is up there too, Emmanuel Wilson, obviously. And look who is the top receiver that's gotten a bulk of the snaps, right? He's ran 177 routes and had 29 targets. Matthew Golden, 23 catches. Again, Romeo Doubs, I think we would all agree, has great hands. He's at 65%. That's what I was talking about with Matthew Golden. If Matthew Golden takes over for Romeo Doubs in the future, you're basically going to get a better hands than Rome. That's what the numbers are suggesting, right? Probably slightly less in terms of route running ability, but you're going to get that take the top off the defense, top speed as well. So just something to keep in mind. Nick McSwain, I got to get it, man. It's rare I do special requests over here, but when you point this one out, we got to do it. As we said there, that number for Romeo Doubs' catch percentage is
65%.
65%. That's what we appreciate that, Nick. You're the man. All right, moving along. Another thing with Savion Williams, anybody who thinks that he's not going to be a great player, he's not already contributing to the team, 3rd-round pick, he is 13th in the NFL in kickoff return yards. Now, again, return average could be better, right? Like, this is where we're at with Savion Williams. Let me scroll down. I apologize. Savion Williams is 13th. He's got 504 kickoff return yards right now. Okay, that's 13th best in the National Football League. He's averaging 25.2. Now, you'll notice everybody above him here, they have a little bit higher average. Okay. Average kickoff return. You're always seeing kickoffs with this new rule. I'm wondering, was that good or not? Do y'all do that? I know I do that. I'm still trying to get used to the new kickoff rules. And I'm like, I don't know what's good now, right? Is it 30 yards? Is it 20 yards? What's a good return, right? A good gauge here. If you look at some of the guys that are in the top, let's say just the top 10 in kick return yards this year, it looks like the best average is Luke McCaffrey from Washington at 29.6. Okay. So keep in mind now when we're judging Savion Williams or whoever's returning kicks, 29 is the best in the league when you kind of filter out the noise. Okay. So if you hit 30 yards on a return, great freaking return with these new rules, right? 25 seems to be good. So somewhere between 25 return yards and 30 return yards is what you're looking for. Savion's right there in that sweet spot. So, and I love the fact that he's protecting the football. He doesn't dance around. You'll notice he just grabs that ball, takes one peek, one cut, and goes and gets you the yardage that's out there. I think he's going to get better too, man. Going to get better. As Joseph points out, yeah, he's a natural kick returner. He's obvious. Completely agree. And some people were saying, why ain't you returning punts? I can understand that argument. I think Jacob or Tim maybe bring it up the other day. I can understand why you think like that. The problem is punt returns are much different than kick returns, and they're obviously seeing something in practice they don't like with him returning punts. Maybe that'll change moving forward, right? Let's hope it does. So, all right, let's move along here. With all that being said, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs continue to be the go-to guys in this Packers receiving room. If Jayden Reed does return on Thanksgiving Day or earlier, Jordan Love will be heading into the final stretch of the season with the receiving room locked and loaded. So when you look at the PFF grades, again, Jayden Reed, you got to kind of throw it out because it was only, 2 games. He had 5 targets, 3 catches, already had a touchdown. He's just such a weapon, man. 89.9 is his PFF grade. Again, that we expect that to come down, and it's going to take some time for him to ramp up too, man. Collarbones are weird, guys. I don't know if y'all have ever broken a collarbone. I luckily have not, but anyone I've known that's broken a collarbone, they stay in your head a little bit, man. You're thinking about it. That's a lot of pain. And every time you hit the ground, it's kind of like an ACL you're afraid to cut. You're trying to get used to it. Your body's trying to accept the fact that there's foreign objects there that are kind of holding that together and whatnot. But with a collarbone, it's very similar. Don't be surprised if Jayden Reed's a little more cautious on how he falls, like maybe that's probably going to be in his mind a little bit with Yak. It's like, let me try to fall in a safe way because, man, you snap that bone up here, that's awful close to the brainstem. You know what I'm saying? That gets you thinking like, wow, that something that traumatic can happen right here. And, everything that's important is right here. That there's a mental aspect to that from what I've heard. So, I'm interested to see what Jayden Reed looks like when he comes back. But second, Christian Watson, guys, man, 8 targets, 6 catches, 75% receiving percentage. And we know they're throwing contested catch balls up to him too. 143 yards receiving already, 74.7 is the PFF grade there. Romeo Doubs, 70.5 PFF grade. Again, 52 targets, 34 catches. Of course, his catch percentage is going to be lower than the other guys who got a lot more targets. The most comparable to him is actually Matthew Golden, who has a higher catch percentage, and he's sitting at a 66.2 PFF grade. Malik Heath, 65.9. Dontavion Wicks, 63.9. And Savion Williams has the lowest receiving grade. Isn't that wild? Think about that. This is why you've really got to take PFF and you got to kind of run it through your own filter. There's somebody supposedly grading the tape, right? They're grading every snap. If that's the case, why does Savion Williams have such a low offensive grade if indeed his drop grade is 75.6, right? So his drop grade is 75.6. So he's got 100% catch percentage, right? Why would you think he's a 55.2 receiving grade? Now, the fumble I get, that should play a role in the offensive grade overall, which I think it does, a 54.5. But it's just kind of odd to me. And that's why it's important to watch the tape, look at the next gen stats, take everything into account, and see what you think. So I want to know what you guys think. If you're watching this video back later, let me know in the comments. Holmes says PFF hates the Packers. LOL. It's really strange how they grade the Packers sometimes. Again, Holmes, I think we both agree. You and I both we're biased, right? So maybe we're looking at it through the wrong lens, but it does just kind of feel like sometimes you look at the tape and go, why the hell did they grade them like that? And with that being said, Holmes, we've actually got the 4th highest PFF grade as a team, right? And there's Packer fans on Twitter going, "Oh, well, that ain't accurate. We suck." No, we don't suck, bud. You're just overly emotional. That's the way it is. So, Ed Madden hits the nail on the head. I need more clarity from PFF on how they grade. Ed, I don't even need clarity. I don't. I guess this is probably what you're saying, Ed. But I don't need somebody to go, "This is why I graded this, this, and this." I just need to know the grade and the snap. That's all, and I can make my own assessment. And I think they're kind of being exposed a little bit in that regard. And what I mean by that is they're not listing, "Hey, on this snap, we gave this specific grade," right? Tells me they're not watching every snap. I think I think the big name players they probably are, but I think when you get to the bottom of the roster, somebody has 4 routes that they run, they'll probably just go, "Hey, didn't have a catch. Let's give him a 60." You know what I mean? Something like that. I could be wrong, but yeah. Anyway, I would like to have more clarity too there, Ed. All right, let's just do this. We're going to end the show real quick with the chat, okay? Over here on Patreon, this is questions for the show. I'm trying to remember to include it, guys. We're cutting multiple videos a day, but again, this is the lifeblood of what we do here at PTA. Patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 get you access to everything over there, including the game plan and everything else in between. So it's just a way to be a part of the community. People ask for a long time, how can we support what y'all are doing? This is the best way to do it. We just set up a Patreon group, let it sit for a while. People would just, donate money. And now all of a sudden it's turned into kind of its own website. That article I just read, you had access to that earlier this morning. So, all right, here we go. Mike Hebring in there in the questions for the show on Patreon says, "Eagles by a tush push would be so Packers." Hope you're not right, Mike. And I think Matt LaFleur hit the nail on the head with this one, guys. You got to keep them out of that 4th and short situation, man. That's what you got to do. You've got to make sure that you got to know going into the game how many opportunities they have on 4th down. Here's how you probably wonder, how do you approach that? Here's how I would approach it as a coach. I would say, okay, guys, any 3rd down situation, they're not looking to take the top off the defense. Let's play the sticks, maybe even play it a little shallow, a little underneath the sticks. Now, you may have to make that adjustment in the 2nd quarter, like we always talk about, right? You always make that adjustment in the 2nd and 3rd quarter. It's all about controlling the middle late. You may have to make an adjustment because they're throwing right over top of you, playing underneath, right? But I would try to look at it like when they're in a 3rd and 7 situation, I would treat it like it's a 3rd and 4 situation, because they're honestly trying to dink and dunk underneath, get within range that they can run that tush push. That's what Matt LaFleur is talking about, in my opinion. So I hope they adjust their game plan a little bit for that and they're prepared. Jerry in the chat says, "I seem to remember we handled Barkley well in recent games, especially in Brazil. Are there different Packer players this year, so that last year doesn't mean much in this regard?" Jerry, I don't think last year matters a whole lot at all. Schematically, yes. Like I said, both of these teams, what they're going to do in terms of watching the tape, I say they're going to do, they already did it. They probably did it on Monday. Probably did it as soon as the game was over on Sunday, to be honest with you. What they will do is they'll go and grab Philly's last 4 games, okay? And we call that a 4-game saturation. They'll watch every snap of that, and they'll get an idea of what they do. Now, of course, they got the analytics, and AI makes it a lot easier nowadays. They got a whole analytical report of here's what they like to do in these situations, blah, 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 blah. They go watch the last 4 games, and they watch the last 2 head-to-head matchups. So what you'll get is the playoff game, Philly-Green Bay, and then you'll get the Brazil game. With that being said, I don't think it's as much about which players are here, which players aren't, as it is they're going to watch the tape and try to pick up on what the tendencies are here lately. Now, I watched the Giants game where they beat the Giants before their bye. I wasn't overly impressed. It was a 2-score game, but the Giants kind of gave them that game, right? It just seemed like every time I turned around, I was working on some stuff here for the pod, and every time I turned around and looked at TV because the announcers got loud, it was like another mental mistake by New York. Might have been a drop. It might have been a turnover. Might have been whatever. But I didn't come away from that game going, man, Philly, they played like world beaters there. They just didn't shoot themselves in the foot, essentially, and the Giants did. So hopefully that answers your question, Jerry. Again, I think it's more about the scheme and watching the tape. But Nick McSwain in the questions for the show says, "Hey, Clayton, is there any way you could look into the results of every defensive drive? Like every time the defense is on the field, did they get a 3-and-out, force a punt, allow a field goal, slash touchdown?" I was trying to find this information, but I couldn't. Defense is obviously not going to give up a lot of points, but I feel like they are allowing long, sustained drives and not forcing the mistakes they want to. If you don't feel like answering, could you maybe point me in the direction to find it myself? Appreciate you. Here's the best way to find that info, Nick, and I don't have it right offhand. I will say this last game against Carolina, the one play that stood out to me was you seen Gary pressure Bryce Young. Gary comes across the formation with his pass rush, pressures Bryce Young, and he was able to scramble. I think it was on the play. I think it was a third down play. It might have been a fourth down conversion, actually. But it was the play where Bryce Young, they tried to throw the personal foul flag on Edgerrin Cooper when they hit him a yard and a half inbounds. Idiotic Greg Olson was trying to, oh my God, what a horrible. And then you watch it back and you're like, but I don't know what you're looking through that through Bears lens glasses and Carolina Panther lens glasses for sure. But that play is one that comes to mind for me where they sustain a drive, right, Nick? They extend a drive, I should say. And that was him scrambling out. Again, he gets pressure from Gary. Gary couldn't run him down. And I was looking at it going, where's the containing the touch spot on the opposite side? So to me, it looked like somebody got a little too aggressive. Maybe it was Micah. I didn't really focus on it that much. All right, who got out of their rush lane? But that's one play in particular that kind of sticks out. So that may be the case. But here's the best way you can look it up. You go to ESPN, go to the box score for that and click on box score, and then click play by play. You don't even have to look at all plays, but it'll show you how each drive ends, right? It'll say punt, field goal, punt, turnover on downs, interception, whatever. You might be able to tally it up pretty quick, at least for the last few games. And if you do get that information, throw it in the chat, man. We'll share it with the show. So that's what I love about what we do here, man. Everybody's involved, and we're all kind of learning together and sharing information, especially in Patreon and obviously the live chat here. So again, that's patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Appreciate everybody that's supporting over there. You guys are awesome. So cool little community. And I know during the season, things get a little crazy, right? We're all busy, and then team loses a couple games. And listen, I'm a normal fan too. I get a little less interested when the Packers aren't playing great football. It's easy to dive in here and watch the tape when they win, right? But it's important to, what I say, take your medicine. You take your medicine with the players and the coaches, right? When the team loses, they struggle. We're going to watch the tape. We're going to figure out what happened, right? So, yeah. All right. Let's just see if there's anything else here in the chat real quick. Make sure we didn't miss any supers. We're good there. Ed Madden said Savion is very raw. Byron, I think he was talking to somebody in the chat. He's in the developmental stage. He definitely, and I'll tell you who else is Matthew Golden, man. You know, people see Ted McMillan and go, why ain't Matthew Golden playing like Ted McMillan was the best receiver in the draft? He was however many tiers higher. I got so much stuff laying on my phone in just a second. Let me just see if I can give you an idea. We had Ted McMillan in tier 2. We had Emeka Egbuka and Luther Burton in tier 4. And then we had Matthew Golden in tier 5. So kind of feels like we nailed those, to be honest with you. Egbuka's having a great year. Ted McMillan's having a great year. I think Luther Burton was having a pretty solid year for the Bears too, if I remember correctly. So again, Savion way on down the list, right? I say way on down the list, but I mean, we had him right where the Packers took him, was right in that range where we had him graded. So yeah. And Byron says we have a practice squad for just that reason. Are you talking about putting Savion in the practice squad above you? Yeah, that's you put Savion in a practice squad, you're losing him, man. Somebody's signing him tomorrow. If that's what you're saying, I may be misunderstanding you. This is why I don't like to read the chat live when I'm by myself, because I usually ask the guys what do they mean by that, because I'm doing 500 different things, pulling up other screens and misinterpret what people say. But you guys know I'm country as cornbread, and I can't juggle two things at one time. So coaching biggest issue, respondents agree. Ted McMillan, let's see here. Ted McMillan, he says Ted McMillan sounds like a serial killer. That's Bundy, not McMillan, and it's Ted McMillan. I probably sound like I'm saying Ted. Let's see. Dave C says Savion doesn't get through waivers. Thank you, Dave. So you took it the same way I did there. Yeah, Coach Lynn in the house. Go Pack. Appreciate you, buddy. Ed Madden says you have to bounce back from adversity. That's life. Amen, dude. Amen. I wish some people would tell some of these fans on social media, man. I made a comment the other day, and I stand by it, man. I see the way people respond. One week we're winning the Super Bowl, and then that same fan the next week is trying to fire him out the floor. And I'm like, man, I'd hate to live in your household. My God. Somebody gets a speeding ticket in the household, you kicking them out of the house, tell them you're disowning them. Like, what goes on over there? Whew. Anyway, Coach says Savion is a stud, period. There's something there, Coach. I agree. Now, listen, I stud, I'm not going to the point where it's like, okay, when I hear stud, I think he's going to be a top 10 receiver in the league. I don't see that yet. I don't see it. I don't not see it, right? But I don't see it exactly to that level. But what you do see, coach, is there's something with Savion. It's like he belongs. You could tell he's an NFL receiver. Like I think he's gonna be a good player. I'm trying to. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm trying to harness the excitement I have for him. But there's something there that I think Savion. The moment's never going to be too big for him. You just got to clean up. We knew he was raw, right? That's the fumble. That's mechanical stuff, right? The route. If he did break that route off, it was supposed to be a bubble and not a smoke. And he kind of ran something in between. You clean that up, things are going to get better for Savion. I think Savion's going to be great, man. Let's see what AFM says here. AFM says Savion should move to tight end. I disagree with that, AFM. I think if you move him to tight end, you've got to beef him up. You got to put weight on him, right? When you put weight on him, things get a little bit weird. Things get different, man, with players when you try to. I'm tired of the Packers trying to draft a tackle and play him at guard. I'm tired of the Packers drafting a cornerback and trying to play him at safety. We've seen that before. In this case with Javon Bullard, we drafted a safety and put him at slot corner. Slot corner is definitely, he plays better there. So that one you could check the box. But I think I like Demarius Randall and some of these other players we had in the past where it was just like you're constantly trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I think of Amari Rodgers, who coming out of college was like, hey, this is going to be a good slot receiver, good, kind of gadget guy. And they absolutely ruined him, making him do punt returns that anybody could see he couldn't do, So, yeah. In terms of Savion, you can accomplish the same thing that you're looking for, AFM, by sliding him into the wing. And we've seen him do that, right? So what you're doing is you're capitalizing on two things. You're taking the strength of his game without forcing him to put on extra weight, right? Making him play uncomfortable. But also with him being on the field, you're triggering a nickel defense, which is now going to put a DB most likely in the run fit in the box, whether you're playing a spur safety or the nickel back's going to slide in on him playing the wing. And you still get his blocking ability. So I kind of like him at receiver and the weight he is. I want teams to always look at Savion as a receiver and play defense that way. Because when they do, they're going to bring in an extra DB. And then when you get him underneath on the bubble screens and things, he's going to be able to run through that DB's face. As opposed to if you beef him up like a tight end and try to do it, now they're in a base set and they got an extra linebacker in there who's going to obviously be a better tackler. Maybe not as good, covering down the field. And that's probably the positive that would come out of your idea there, moving him to tight end, is he would have the advantage if he beefed up and ran vertical routes or, mid to deep routes on linebackers. I just don't think that's what they want Savion to do. I think what they want from Savion is a guy who they're going to use with yak ability. So I could be wrong though. We'll see though, man. Time will tell. So, all right. With that being said, let's give Byron one more comment here, because he was the one that we disagree with. And listen, Byron, when we disagree with you here, man, I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. That's just my opinion. And I know guys in the chat feel the same way, I'm sure. Byron said, I'm not saying kick Savion to the curb. I'm saying give him less big game reps till he's comfortable. Gotcha. I understand that. And we were just pointing out that when you said that's what the practice squad's for, obviously you can't stash him on the practice squad. And maybe we misunderstood you, but it's all good, man. All right, guys, that's going to do it. AFM in here laughing. It's untelling what you were laughing about, you and that crusty mustache. We're out of here, guys. We'll be back tonight, 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live. We're going to be diving into a little bit of the game plan. We'll get you the final injury report. We'll have a lot of fun stuff going on. Maybe the guys will join me. If not, I'll be in here rolling. And I think Tim will probably be in here for sure. We'll see if Emilio and Jacob are available. But we'll be back to talk ball. Make sure everybody do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe. Click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll see you tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Y'all have a great day. Go Irish. I know it's going to piss some people off. Sorry. Go Irish. Big day of college football. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll see you tonight. Bye.
There we go.
Bye, guys.